Good evening. Am I audible? Is my voice audible?
Good evening, sir. Yes.
Good evening, sir. Audible.
Okay. So let us begin today's session. An important theory of Buddhism, that is Nairatmavad. And like I told you, we keep coming up with, or we'll keep coming up with this infographic series कि एक infographic से वो concept आपको जो है हमेशा के लिए याद हो जाए. आपको बाकी तो करा ही देंगे. Definitely we'll do the description, but ये आपको longer term के लिए याद रहे. So we are coming up with this intelligent series of infographic. अब जरा एक बार चैरियट को देखिए. दूसरी तरफ एक राजा है जो सवाल पूछ रहे हैं, और एक तरफ देयर इज द बुद्धिस्ट मॉन्क नागसेना. व्हाट इज हैपनिंग टू द चैरियट एंड द किंग?
Perishing.
Both are perishing. So that is the idea, or rather than saying it is perishing, we will say that it is in a state of flux, or it is in a change of it is in a changing state. The king is not actually the king, the chariot is not actually the wheel, the axle. It is, in case of the king Menander, it is the Panch Skandhas. And when he asks the questions which we will be discussing today to the Buddhist scholar Nagsena, while he is asking the question, both he and the chariot are in a state of flux or changing. So from there arrives the concept of Nairatmavad, or theory of no soul. When I say no soul, it is no permanent soul. तो कहानी क्या है इनकी, इसी कहानी से हम शुरुआत करते हैं. So as you know that Buddhism has given you the concept of Anityavad. What is Anityavad? Theory of impermanence. Yes or no? Impermanence की थ्योरी से what did the Heenyan school interpreted it as? What was the literal interpretation they took of things being from impermanent? They took it as
Momentariness.
momentary. Yes, Kshanbhangavad. If things are momentary and this gets applied to matter, there is theory of Sanghatvad. Atoms are, sorry, matter is nothing but momentary atoms, as is displayed in this chariot. And when it is applied to the soul also, because this doctrine according to them is universal. So when Shanbhangavad, or theory of momentariness, is applied to the king, this is Menander, later he will become Milind, this Buddhist scholar Nagasena. So when this theory of momentariness is applied to the king, what is happening to the king? He is not the king, but 5 fleeting states called पंच स्कंधास. So सवाल ऐसा है कि जब इन्होंने कह दिया कि भाई कोई सोल नहीं है, there is nothing like the soul, there are only 5 states. Today we will discuss that 5 states. ये 5 states को याद करने में समस्या होती है, तो इसलिए इसका भी हमने एक infographic बना दिया है, so that you can remember, and that infographic is also as witty कहिए या as academically intelligent कहिए as this one. So ये जो मीनेंडर हैं, ये नागसेना से कुछ सवाल पूछते हैं. बोलते हैं कि आप अगर ये कह रहे हैं कि देयर इज नो सोल, देयर आर जस्ट 5 स्टेट्स। तो कह रहे ये नागसेना किसका नाम है? फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन, हु इज दिस नागसेना? Who is it that is eating, praying, meditating? Third question, and he asks a very intelligent question. राजा हैं तो धमकी भरा भी सवाल पूछते हैं. He asks, if I kill this Nagasena, will anyone be punished? भाई जब आप है ही नहीं, you are nothing but fleeting state. So if I kill Nagasena, will anyone be punished? अब देखिए भाई कितने आपको स्कॉलर होने में भी कितना खतरा है, आज भी है. In this government it is very much less, but you have to be the scholar of that level कि जहां पर आप मिनेंडर को मिलिंद बना दे. So will anyone be punished if this Nagasena is killed? He asks, is this Nagasena the skin? Is it the hair that I am talking to? ये है क्वेश्चंस ऑफ मिलिंद. एक किताब में लिखा है, उस किताब का क्या नाम है? क्वेश्चंस ऑफ मिलिंद. यस,
Milind Pano.
मिलिंद पन्हो. यस. So the questions of Milind are put in a book, मिलिंद पन्हो. So आप देखिए इस तरह के कुतर्क का जवाब. अब जैसे राजा का लेवल ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस इज नॉट और स्कॉलरशिप इज नॉट कि जिसपे कि बुद्धिज्म के कॉन्सेप्ट को समझाया जाए शुरू से, अनित्यवाद वगैरह. ही डज नॉट इवन हैव द टाइम. अब आप प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी को मान लीजिए कोई प्रेजेंटेशन देने जाएंगे. सपोज यू वांट टू गिव अ प्रेजेंटेशन ऑन व्हाई मॉडर्नाइजेशन इन डिफेंस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, और अगर आप वहां पर चालू करेंगे कि सिपरी का रिपोर्ट कहता है कि हम 80% इंपोर्ट करते हैं, आवर डिफेंस इंपोर्ट इज लीडिंग टू थ्रेटनिंग आवर स्ट्रेटेजिक ऑटोनॉमी, सिंस 1990s वी आर मेंटेनिंग एन एरा ऑफ स्ट्रेटेजिक ऑटोनॉमी. नहीं, यू गिव हिम इन क्लियर कट टर्म्स, अगली लड़ाई होगी, हमारे एम्यूनिशन खत्म होंगे, हमको रशिया के ऊपर निर्भर करना पड़ेगा, इट वुड कंस्ट्रेंट आवर national power in responding as effectively as we would have liked to the enemy. So बंदूक भी, सिपाही हमारा, बंदूक हमारे, गोली हमारे, तभी जाकर मिशन हमारा होगा या विजन हमारा होगा या एम्बिशन हमारा होगा. आप अगर इनको कम शब्दों में समझाएंगे तो वो समझ जाएंगे, लेकिन अगर आप उनको पूरे पोथी पत्रा समझाएंगे, ही विल गेट एंग्री. सो सिमिलरली नागसेना डज नॉट एक्सप्लेन अनित्यवाद, क्षणभंगवाद. नागसेना कहते हैं कि आप आज जब कोर्ट में आए तो कैसे आए. सो मिनेंडर सेड आई केम इन अ चैरियट. तो बोले कि ये जो चैरियट है, व्हाट इज इट दैट यू कॉल द चैरियट? और इन्हीं की तरह पूछते हैं, इज इट द व्हील, इज इट द एक्सल, इज इट द रॉड, इज इट द सीट? इन सभी पे ये कहेंगे नहीं भाई, व्हील को चैरियट क्यों कहेंगे, एक्सल को चैरियट क्यों कहेंगे, फ्लैग को चैरियट क्यों कहेंगे. पूछे इज इट ऑल दिस पुट टुगेदर, तो भी नहीं. ऑल ऑफ दिस पुट टुगेदर इज सिंपली एन एग्रीगेट ऑफ दिस और संघातवाद ऑफ दिस. सो देयरफॉर जस्ट लाइक द चैरियट इज एन aggregate of the wheel, the axle, similarly I Nagasena is an aggregate of the panch skandhas or the panch skandhas. So Nagasena is just a common name given to these aggregates. और ये aggregates क्या हैं अभी हम डिस्कस करेंगे. दिस एग्रीगेट्स आर ऑल्सो पार्ट ऑफ योर द्वादश निदान. लेकिन ये जो कॉन्वर्सेशन बिटवीन मिलिंद एंड कॉन्वर्सेशन बिटवीन, kindly teach in English. Okay. Somebody has sent that kindly teach classes in English, sir. I think I'm speaking English. I mean, I believe so. Okay. So what happens is sometimes when I am giving some example, there is a concept in science called Pareto's principle. Pareto's principle ये कहता है that you understand a concept better in your mother tongue. So you may write a concept or you may explain a concept in English, etc. But when you want people to understand it, you explain in their mother tongue. So maybe while I explain the examples, I use mother tongue, but I will try to keep it as anglicized as possible. Anyways, there is no fight between Hindi and English people. So that's nice. So is this story understood? Gauri, Shavya, Amita, Dipesh, Rituraj,
Yes, sir.
Ashish.
Yes, sir.
आपको याद रहेगा नैरात्मवाद, ये कहानी लिख पाएंगे ना? And now the image makes that much more sense when I link it with Anityavad, Shanbhangavad, Sanghatvad and Panchkandas. Otherwise they will become two technical terms. You may forget it later. अब जरा हम चालू करते हैं आज की क्लास से. आई कम बैक टू दी पंच स्कंदास, इसको भी एक्सप्लेन करने का, क्योंकि रूप, वेदना, संज्ञा एंड संस्कारा एंड विज्ञान, इसको याद करने में जो है थोड़ा सा पेपर में लिखते समय मैं खुद ही एक साल भूल गया था. आई थिंक इट वाज 2016 when they had asked about Nairatmavad and I was writing the Panchaskandas and I forgot their technical names. So from that experience I just simplify कि आपको याद रहे. अभी हम इसको शुरू से चालू करते हैं. One of you can confirm if these notes are visible.
Visible, sir.
Yes. Somebody is saying you are teaching in English. English is synthesis. Okay. That is an intelligent comment. Somebody said जैसे दो लोगों में लड़ाई हो रही है, एक व्यक्ति कह रहे हैं कि आप अंग्रेजी में पढ़ाइए. Somebody is saying teach in English. The other person is saying teach in Hindi. So if I have to explain this in philosophical terms for you people to revise a concept, then in the concept of the dialectic method of Hegel, there is thesis, there is antithesis. दोनों को मिला के क्या बनता है? From their movement comes synthesis, and somebody is saying teach in English. English, I believe, is teaching English in Hindi, right? So this is what is the first three triads given in your Western philosophy of Hegel. So coming back to Nairatmavad. So generally, what is the belief? Generally, there is a belief that there is a soul which persists through changes. Generally, हम ये मानते हैं ना that there is a permanent soul which overcomes the body, be it birth, death, or migrates from one body to another. This is what is the message of Gita. It is the soul. It changes body just like you change the cloth. Similarly, there is also a shlok where it says that the soul cannot be cut by any sword, destroyed by water or fire, burned by fire, etc. Nanam chadanti sastrani. So the idea basically is that there is this conception in Vedanta that there is a permanent soul that is eternal, undestroyable, immutable, unborn kind of a thing. But Buddhism में consistent with dependent origination. What is dependent origination?
Prakriti samutpad.
Yes. Pratitya samutvat. Yes. So this being that arises, or so long as the cause exists, the effect will exist. जब तक कॉज है तब तक इफेक्ट है. इफेक्ट हट जाएगा तो कॉज हट जाएगा. सो द कॉज इज नॉट परमानेंट, द कॉज इज इम्परमानेंट, अनित्य. सो from this the theory came of universal change. So pratitya samutpad, से क्या आया? अनित्यवाद और थ्योरी ऑफ यूनिवर्सल चेंज. Things are not permanent, they are changing. Buddha denies the existence of such a soul, and hence he propounds the theory of no soul. In fact, it would be rather unwise to say Buddha denies such a soul. Buddha says, Buddha, in fact, he maintains silence on such questions. So, the 10 questions of Tathagat, or the Buddha, as you know, sometimes is also referred as yes, तथागत. अगर उसका लिटरल मीनिंग देखें तो दैट हु हैज गॉन बियॉन्ड डेथ, somebody who has surpassed death. So बुद्धा से पूछा गया कि what happens to the soul when the body dies, where does the soul go? तो बुद्धा कहेंगे कि एक बात बताओ, जब कैंडल बुझता है तो कैंडल की फ्लेम कहाँ जाती है? What will you say about the candle when the candle gets extinguished? Where does the flame go? So बुद्धा जानते थे कि अगर इसमें फंसूंगा, इसमें अगर मैं डिबेट में करूंगा तो ये मुझे जो है बुद्धा नहीं बनने देंगे. They will relegate me to an equivalent school or somewhere even worse. So Buddha very strategically opted silence on such kind of speculative metaphysics. बुद्धा ने कहा कि यार एक बात बताओ, जिसको अगर जंगल में तीर लगी हो तो वो क्या ये सोचेगा कि मेरे ही like why was it in my fate only to be struck by this arrow? What did I do to deserve to be struck by this arrow? Or will he think about how to reach the hospital, get treatment and save his life? What will be on his mind? अपनी जान बचाना चाहेंगे या he will sit and contemplate? Yes,
Save himself.
he will say. So that is why Buddha said what? There is suffering and there is a cause of suffering. ये जो आपको तीर घुसा है पेट में, so that is suffering. And when it is paining, the cause is the arrow. You don't have to be bothered about who struck me. वो बाद में कर लेना. For now, you have to stop your suffering. And for that, there is a path. Go to the doctor. Ashtangik marg, eightfold path. So Buddha would opt silence on speculative metaphysics, or on such questions Buddha will say, देखिए यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है, the soul is or the soul is not. He does not say either. कभी कभी वो थोड़ा बहुत हिंट भी दे देते थे, जैसे बार बार लोग कहते हैं यार तुमको ज्यादा आता नहीं है क्या, मतलब when his own disciples started doubting Buddha, तो अब बुद्धा ने कहा कि अब थोड़ा सा तो डिस्प्ले करना पड़ेगा. जस्ट गिव मी 1 सेकेंड. My apologies. So, what was I saying? Which example were we discussing?
The arrow one.
The arrow one. हाँ, मतलब not the arrow one. We were discussing. Don't mislead me. I was discussing that when his disciples also started questioning Buddha's knowledge कि शायद इनको आता नहीं है इसलिए नहीं बता रहे, तो बुद्धा ने बोला कि ये पेड़ देखो. He showed us Simsupa tree and he said इस पे कितने पत्ते हैं? तो कुछ लोगों ने बोला जो नीचे गिरे हैं वो पत्ते हैं, जो लगे हुए हैं वो पत्ते हैं, जो दिख रहे हैं वो पत्ते हैं. भाई पत्ते तो उस पेड़ पे और भी आएंगे ना इन इट्स इंटायर लाइफ टाइम. यस, या पत्ते ऐसे भी होंगे जो आए होंगे पहले. यस और नो? सो बुद्धा आस्क्ड देम अ सिंपल क्वेश्चन, व्हाट यू सी, आर दे दी ओनली tree only leaves on this tree? So disciples say, no, there could be many more, there will be many more. So he said, that is my answer on whether what I know or how much I know. But he said, my concern right now is you are in this samsara whose most important truth is truth number one, there is suffering. And truth number two, there is a cause of suffering. So I want that the cause be removed so that कम से कम आपका पहले ये जो दुख है उसको सॉल्व किया जाए. बाकी की चीजें तो जो है, आई विल कीप टेकिंग रीबर्थ and you will keep reading Jataka tales and preparing also for UPSC and you can contemplate. That's what Buddha said to me. I mean, he didn't say so, but so the idea basically is Buddha ने जानबूझ के speculative metaphysics के उससे बचने का प्रयास किया. He was not interested in the speculative metaphysics. Okay. Then Buddha says कि मैं ऐसा नहीं कह रहा हूं कि सोल है या सोल नहीं है. He is saying I am going to point out the burden as well as the carrier of the burden. मैं ये बता दूंगा कि burden क्या है और उसका carrier क्या है. The burden are the 5 states and Pudgal is the carrier of the 5 states. हीनयान ने इसको क्या इंटरप्रेट कर लिया? एज आउटराइट डिनायल ऑफ ईगो एंड रिड्यूसेस इट टू 5 स्टेट्स पंच स्कंदस. बुद्धा ने कहा कि मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूं कि सोल है या सोल नहीं है. I am going to more specifically point out what is the burden and what is the carrier of the burden. The burden are the 5 state and the carrier is matter. So he gave a more practical answer, an answer that would be useful. जैसे not to preach whatever he's saying, but he is a modern day, again, a great bhakti saint, that is Premanand Maharaj. So off and on he keeps saying in this video that you know me by my name, but अगर आप वास्तव में मुझे जान जाएंगे तो कुछ जानने के लिए बचेगा ही नहीं. So that is a very deep philosophical line which you and I maybe we can understand at the academic level, maybe not, maybe even me, for me, I may not understand it at the bhakti level, but I can understand in the academic level what he's saying, that if you know the real me, there is nothing left to know. तो वो भी कुछ ऐसा ऐसा बुद्धा वाला ही ज्ञान दे दे रहे हैं बीच बीच में ताकि things keep moving as they should. So what are the panch skandhas? First is roop or matter. It is the material or physical organism with which all other 4 skandhas are invariably associated in empirical life. So this is basically your hardware. In very simple term for you, because you people are tech savvy, तो आपका जो मोबाइल फोन है, आईफोन कौन सा चल रहा है अभी? 15, whichever is the latest iPhone model. The phone as well as its hardware, that is roop or matter. Second is the feeling or vedana. So because of the 6 sense organs, there is feeling of pleasure and pain. अब इसमें क्या है, कई सारे बटन होंगे ना, एक बटन दबाएंगे तो गेम खुलेगा, एक बटन दबाएंगे तो पापा का फोन आ जाएगा कि पढ़ नहीं रहे. So there is feeling of pleasure and pain. Next, पंच स्कंदा is perception और संज्ञान. It includes understanding and naming. इसमें जो एप्स बने हुए हैं उसके कई सारे नाम है ना. फॉर एग्जाम्पल टूडेज क्लास यू came with the app's name, or there is Zoom app. So there is naming. ये समझ आ रहा है? Are you able to understand the examples? ठीक. Yes or no? Are you able to understand this with the examples, or should I first show you the infographic?
Understand.
Okay. So next is the predisposition. The samskaras. Samsara likha hai, samskaras. They are the tendencies generated by impressions of past experience. So there is a tendency to open not IAS Academia app, but Instagram app. Because IAS Academia ऐप पे गए तो वहां पर दुख हुआ कि ये भी पढ़ना है या ये नहीं कंप्लीट हुआ है या कल क्लास है या नहीं है या इतना अभी हुआ है इतना अभी कराया नहीं है, so on and so forth. But when you opened Instagram, you will see a video of somebody driving their Rolls Royce or Aston Martin और नीचे लिखा होगा you are the person who is going to change the generation of your family, or imagine yourself arriving in 2030 in the family reunion. Immediately आपने like कर दिया उस वीडियो को. Next. Yes or no? Next video देखेंगे. Happens or not? Then last is the consciousness or विज्ञान. विज्ञान लिखा है यहाँ पे, विज्ञान होगा. It is the consciousness itself which remains after death, unless you have attained nirvana where it is annihilated. So the consciousness of the self is the real cause of rebirth. अब इन्हीं 5 स्कंधास को अगर आपको एक याद करने के लिए समझना है तो प्लीज सी दिस इंफोग्राफिक. One of you can confirm if this is visible.
Yes.
So first is roop or the form, which is the body, the hardware of existence. Second is the vedana. It has been represented by a scale. एक तरफ pleasure है, एक तरफ pain है. So this is what even Bentham says. Pain and pleasure are our sovereign masters. अगर आपको ऑप्शन दिया जाए तो would you like to do something which is pleasurable or something which is painful? Yes. अरे इसमें भी डाउट है क्या? If option is given to you, thing is what happens in philosophy class, people become very philosophical in their answer. So in one of the classes somebody said beyond pleasure and pain, and I cannot say on the video but it reminds me of a meme by, वो क्या नाम है वो जो एक मुंबई का एक यूट्यूब इन्फ्लुएंसर है जो बहुत पाकिस्तान को गाली वाली दे के फेमस बने थे. Somebody who looks or like copies Sanjay Dutt. Some Bhau, I don't remember his, some there was some Bhau or Bhai in his name. So उनका एक बहुत फेमस वो है कि ज्ञानी बाबा आप कहाँ थे. तो give an answer like a normal layman. This is because ये जो आप philosophy पढ़ रहे हैं ये मत समझिए कि this is the level of philosophy required for which is like going to immediately transform, although it is very very transformative in your understanding. तो आपसे जब ये पूछा गया कि whether you want more pleasure in your life or more pain in your life, ये भी नहीं बता पा रहे आप. Yes. On balance,
Yes.
I think obviously yes, everybody would be talking about more pleasure, but isn't pleasure also the cause of suffering? Because when you will not get it, will you not suffer? Yes.
Yes, sir.
And if you keep getting it, there is diminishing marginal returns. That same pleasure will not be able to give you the satisfaction, which in contemporary Western you studied in the philosophy of Kierkegaard. He called it will lead to boredom. It will be repetition and recollection. Boredom हो जाएगा. So pain and pleasure, even if you are getting pleasure, you will be not satisfied or you will be suffering. And next is sangyan or perception or cognition. You see a dog and you label it as a dog. You see a cat, you label it as a cat. So the mind's label maker is sangyan. Next is samskara. ये सबसे difficult है. Sorry, samskara. So your karmic autopilot. So ये देखिए DNA से शो हो रहा है. Very easy example to understand is genetic diseases. Easy example today is lifestyle diseases. They are an immediate manifestation of your own karmas. So that is samskara. विज्ञान समझना सबसे मुश्किल है, कॉन्शियसनेस समझाना सबसे मुश्किल है. ये बात समझाना कि कैसे डेथ के बाद भी कॉन्शियसनेस रह जाती है. For me also it was very difficult until I had this eureka moment 2.5 years ago during one of the classes. किसी ने पूछा कि ये सर कैसे संभव है कॉन्शियसनेस, ये क्या फालतू की बात है कि कॉन्शियसनेस सर्वाइव्स आफ्टर डेथ. सो आप सभी के घर में बल्ब लगा हुआ है, अगर वो बल्ब फ्यूज हो जाता है, does the electricity still pass through that bulb? It will not be able to give light, but is the electricity flowing through it? Yes. बताइए भाई, उसमें आप उंगली डालेंगे
Yes, sir.
उसके प्लग में तो करंट लगेगा कि नहीं लगेगा? अगर मैं
Yes, sir.
उस फॉल्टी बल्ब को हटा के या वो ओल्ड डिस्ट्रॉयड बल्ब को हटा के नया बल्ब लगा दूं तो जलने लगेगा? यस. सो दिस इज व्हाट दे आर सेइंग, दैट कॉन्शियसनेस इज फ्लोइंग. और तभी बुद्धा के पास उस समय बल्ब का आइडिया नहीं था, तो बुद्धा ने किसका एग्जाम्पल दिया फॉर एक्सप्लेनिंग रीबर्थ? हार्ड इट मे
Candle.
फॉर यू टू बिलीव, बट दिस इज अ कैंडल. एक ये कैंडल एक्सटिंग्विश होने वाला है, ये एक्सटिंग्विश होने से पहले दूसरे कैंडल को जला देता है. So that is how consciousness is getting transferred. I think with the bulb example you will feel more comfortable now with the candle example. Yes or no? मतलब मॉडर्न अंडरस्टैंडिंग विल गिव यू दैट आइडिया कि भाई ठीक है, बल्ब अगर फ्यूज हो गया तो भी उसमें बिजली तो दौड़ रही है, दूसरा बल्ब लगाएंगे तो वो जलने लगेगा. So that is how consciousness is the cause of rebirth. The consciousness survives after that. Electricity is surviving even if the bulb is fused.
Can we write this example, sir? Bulb.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Okay,
इट्स अ
sir.
वेरी पर्टिनेंट एग्जाम्पल. बिल्कुल लिखिए वहां पे. और मैंने तो खैर आपको इसलिए दिया है कि आपको ये याद रह जाए. मोर इम्पोर्टेंटली ये आपके गले से जबरदस्ती कॉन्सेप्ट ना उतारा जाए. यू गेट टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट बुद्धा इज एक्चुअली सेइंग व्हेन ही गेव दिस एग्जांपल ऑफ द कैंडल lighting another candle before getting or just at the time of extinguishing. क्योंकि इस पे आपको पेपर 1 में भी क्वेश्चन आएगा और पेपर 2 में भी क्वेश्चन आएगा. हाउ डज बुद्धिज्म एक्सप्लेन रीबर्थ विदाउट अ सोल? आप यहाँ पर एक
No, sir.
कैंडल का
Bulb
एग्जाम.
example I'm asking.
विच एग्जाम्पल?
Bulb.
डेफिनेटली यू कैन राइट. आप पहले बुद्धा वाला एग्जाम्पल दे दीजिए और उसके बाद आप अपना एग्जाम्पल दे दीजिए. वो एग्जाम्पल बुद्धा ने दिया है, ये वाला आप इसको मतलब आप अपनी तरफ से दे दीजिए. इट कुड ऑल्सो बी अंडरस्टूड इन एन एग्जाम्पल ऑफ अ बल्ब. एग्जामिनर को भी अच्छा लगेगा कि हाँ भाई समझ गया है. ठीक है. सो पंच स्कंधास याद रहेंगे, रूप, वेदना, संज्ञान, संस्कारा एंड विज्ञान. यस. इज इट अंडरस्टूड
Yes, sir.
एवरीबडी?
Yes.
ये ओके. सो these पंच स्कंधास आर ऑल्सो पार्ट ऑफ द्वादश निदान. वहां पर भी थे. Obviously you cannot explain the cycle of suffering without these panch skandhas, but in this only In this only lies how Buddhism is able to explain karma, rebirth without a soul. So it is through the concept of Panch Skandhas, it is through the concept of Dwadas Nidan. Okay. Now, these questions of Milind I have already explained. Milind asks, what is the soul or its nature? He was by that time known as Menander. So Menander asks to Nagsena, how is your reverence known and what sir is your name? To which Nagsena replies that he is known as Nagsena, but it is only a common use and that there is no permanent individual. To this, ये बार बार मिलिंद लिखा है just for you to not get confused. He is actually Menander. He gets converted into Buddhism and is named Milind. So to this, Milind reverts that if there be no permanent soul, who is it that prays, enjoys food and lodging? Who is it that attains nirvana? Who is to be punished if someone killed Nagsena? For no murder would be caused. The hair on Nagsena's body actually called Nagsena, or is it the skandhas or anything else than the skandhas? To each, Nagasena answered no. Then Nagasena asks the king, how did he arrive in the court? To which Milind said he came in a chariot. So what is the chariot? Asked Nagasena. Is it the axle, the wheel, the spoke, the framework, or is it anything other than this? Therefore, just as the chariot is a conventional aggregate name for chariot, axle, etc., similarly, soul is nothing but an aggregate of Nam, Roop, Sangyan, Samskar, Vigyan, and Vedana. Vignan and Vedana. Understood this story now in much more clarity? Yes. So now arguments in support for Nairatmavad. Most important argument given by Hinian is Shanbhangvad, theory of momentariness applied to both matter and mind, man and animal. Everything is momentary, finite, dependent, subject to birth and death. Hence is the soul. There is no permanent soul. That is the first argument, that Shanikvad is itself a proof. Shanikvad is a universal theory. Sorry, my mistake. क्षणभंगवाद इज अ यूनिवर्सल थ्योरी. इनके हिसाब से ये यूनिवर्सल मोमेंटरी थ्योरी जो है सोल पे लगाएंगे, सोल जो है परमानेंट नहीं रह जाएगा, सोल विल बी मोमेंटरी. देन दे ऑल्सो गिव एन इंटेलिजेंट आर्ग्यूमेंट टू एक्सप्लेन बॉन्डेज एंड लिबरेशन. बोलते हैं कि अगर ये सोल चेंजिंग नहीं होगा, इफ दिस सोल इज नॉट चेंजिंग, इज इट पॉसिबल फॉर इट टू फॉल इनटू बॉन्डेज? भाई आप कह रहे हैं कि एक एटर्नल सोल है, एक परमानेंट सोल है, एक इम्यूटेबल सोल है. In such a state, is it possible for it to fall into bondage? Yes. Or once it is in bondage, will it be liberated ever? Because what is its nature? Eternal, immutable, unchangeable, etc., etc. So in the metaphysical side, explaining of bondage and liberation will be difficult. On the ethical side, now this is a very important thing that you can write in your GS4 also. ये जो सेल्फ से जब डिटैचमेंट होगा आपका, at one side Western philosophy teaches or science teaches that self-preservation is the basic or most biological nature of human beings. Self-preservation, अपने आप की रक्षा करना. Now I have one joke on this, but I'm in two minds whether to tell the joke or not, simply because it is very, very difficult to move forward from the joke back to the class without getting a response. But anyways, I'll just tell you, just joke in a non-jokey way. So ये सेल्फ प्रिजर्वेशन क्या होता है, या व्हाट इज दिस बेसिक ह्यूमन नेचर. सो in Haryana there was 90+ year old dadi. So obviously she's 90 plus, and therefore she will be irritated by the small things done by the family members. So she will keep saying कि हे भगवान अब मुझे बुला ले, भगवान जीवन में बहुत कष्ट है, and I am very troubled, these people are nonsense, they don't take care of me, just call me, I want to come in your मतलब मैं आपके शरणागत होना चाहती हूँ, आई वॉन्ट टू बी इन योर कंपेनियनशिप. शी वुड कीप मटरिंग दिस ऑल डे कि आप मुझे बुला लो, और आई डोंट वांट टू लिव एनी लॉन्गर, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा. सो व्हाट हैपेंड इज कि उस घर में एक छोटा सा बच्चा था, मतलब 10-12 years old. तो उसकी बॉल जो है दादी के पलंग के नीचे चली गई, या खाट के नीचे चली गई, क्योंकि गांव में खाट होते हैं. So when the boy went to take out his ball, while he was taking out, he got up inside only, and suddenly दादी का थोड़ा सा खाट उठने लग गया. And immediately she started cursing God. That all my life I asked you for so many things, you gave me nothing. और अभी मैंने जरा सा ये क्या बोल दिया कि अब मुझे उठा ले, मैं इस जीवन से तंग आ गई हूँ. You fulfilled my wish. That is so wrong of you. ये तो आप बहुत ही निर्दयी हैं कि आपने you choose which wish to fulfill and which wish to not fulfill. Let me live, I want to live. So that is the love of life that we as ordinary human beings have. लेकिन ये जो love of life है, isn't this the root cause of, I mean, now coming back outside of the joke again, that is why I said it is difficult. So now, isn't it the root cause of all the evil in this world? Whether it be corruption, for example, you take any matter. For example, you take marriage. It is a relationship of trust. But there is also the case where there is marital rape happening. So why? Because of this ego or self-preservation or दिस सोल. तो बुद्धा का ये कहना है, या बुद्धिज्म का ये कहना है, कि अगर हम सोल से डिटैच्ड हो जाए, इफ वी थिंक दैट देयर इज नो अनहत, देयर इज नो आई, देयर इज नो मम, देयर इज नो अहम एंड देयर इज नो मम, देयर इज नो आई एंड देयर इज नो माइंड. सो it will start to set into process the end of craving, and that is very essential for your liberation. जैसे आप जैनिज्म में देखेंगे, संथारा की एक now people have different opinions on that, but they have a practice where they even stop eating, and it is based on core Jain philosophy. What is the core Jain philosophy? You have to stop karmic matter, new karmic matter coming from outside, and food, whatever sattvic may be, is a cause of entry of the karmic matter. So there is, if you talk again from Hindu varnashram, so third stage of your life after grihast is vanprasth, and fourth is sannyas. So ये vanprasth जाते हैं आप, is it not detachment from your worldly relations, worldly responsibilities, etc.? Only then you are able to attain sannyas or liberation. So the idea basically given by them is कि अगर ये permanent soul जैसी चीज नहीं रहेगी, तो मेरे पे कोई craving नहीं रहेगी to preserve. Okay, so with negation of self, all narrow impulses disappear. That is what they are saying in the ethical side of not having a permanent soul. Okay, वन मोर आर्ग्यूमेंट दे गिव, बॉडी में हमेशा चीजें चेंज हो रही है, बॉडी इज कॉन्स्टेंटली चेंजिंग. इनफैक्ट I don't remember the exact scientific day and date, but probably in 6 months or so, your entire cells of your body is changed. You become a new person. So can such a soul be regulated by a permanent unchanging self? That is the question they ask. And to explain rebirth and law of karma, they will say that it is bad metaphysics to say that an eternal external and externally an eternal immortal soul performs actions and reaps fruits. एक इटर्नल इमोर्टल सोल क्यों एक्शंस परफॉर्म करेगा और फ्रूट्स रीप करेगा? इट इज स्टिल absurd to say that something is eternal but takes birth and dies. So that is again one argument given by them to explain rebirth and law of karma. It is essential that you take the soul as non-permanent or the soul as ever changing. So understood all the arguments given by Henian philosophers? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Make sense?
Yes, sir. So,
Yes.
sir, I'm having a doubt.
Yes.
Sir, in one of the places in India, so
Yes.
there was a lady called some Devi. So it was
There was
taking,
a lady called.
sir, I don't remember her first name.
Okay.
Some Devi, I think
Okay.
so.
Yes.
Sir, there was a news saying that she had reincarnated and she was
Hmm.
just 4 or 5 years old and she had remembered
Hmm.
her previous birth, everything,
Yes.
who was her husband, kids, and all. Sir, is
Correct.
that the truth
So
or
definitely this is one of the criticisms of this theory. There is a, like, I'll just talk about this thing. There's something called in English a term called child prodigy, right?
yes,
Somebody who starts playing chess at the age of 2 years, 3 years. कैसे संभव है? आप तो जो है 3 साल में मिट्टी खाना ठीक से नहीं सीखा था आपने, right? So there is this child prodigy, there is this instances where people remember everything from their last life, etc. So बुद्धिस्ट एक्सप्लेनेशन अगर मैं कहूँ, वैसे तो ये क्रिटिसिज्म है इनकी थ्योरी का, और आप अभी डोंट बी टू सेटिस्फाइड विद देयर एक्सप्लेनेशन. अभी नीचे देखिए यहाँ पे क्या चालू होगा. So then you will be satisfied with the criticism. That is the beauty of philosophy. But ये क्या कह रहे हैं कि कॉन्शियसनेस तो रिमेन रहता है ना, and consciousness is carrying the samskaras of past life. So it is the consciousness which is remembering these things. Now it is absurd to say that the thinker is also able to remember, but that is what they will be doing in Yogachar Vignanvad school, in the concept of Alay Vigyan, where they will say mind is not only a collecting entity, it is also a recollecting entity. So उनके हिसाब से ये consciousness जो है, it is not simply collection but also recollection. वो recollection कैसे होगा? On the basis of pratitya samutpad, when you will be taken to uh, what is the name of Queen of England's Buckingham Palace? When you will be taken to Buckingham Palace, आपको याद आ जाएगा कि ये जो गले में या इनके जो माथे पर जो मुकुट में जो हीरा लगा हुआ है, ये तो आपके पूर्वजों का है. You will remember suddenly that अरे it was taken from me only 250 years ago. So when the right circumstances or when the right karmic expressions will come, you will remember the things of the past. That is what Yogachar Vignanvad will be saying in their concept of Alay Vigyan. Understood? That is why I said it is difficult. Somebody's mic is on. Understood this point?
Yes, sir.
Your voice is not audible. But
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
okay. Everybody got her doubt what she was asking? That how do some people are able to remember their past life? किसी का mic on है, बंद कर लीजिए. I mean, open it only to respond. So now, what is the application in their philosophy? Buddhism explains rebirth without an immortal soul. They are able to explain rebirth on the basis of these Panchaskandhas. Consciousness is the cause of rebirth or the real agent of rebirth. Rebirth is due to ignorance or avidya, predisposition or samskara, and embryonic consciousness or vignana. Or bhav, tendency to be born, is the reason for jati or birth. Bhav is the cause for birth. Then to explain nirvana, the question as to what happens to Tathagat after death, it is like getting the flame extinguished once the oil is consumed. Similarly, the Panch Skandhas once extinguished lead to nirvana. It is absurd to ask where the flame went, here or there. Okay. A comparison is made in the philosophy of David Hume. His view is strikingly similar. Soul is nothing but a bundle of ideas. When I go deep into myself, I have an idea of a tall man, short man, this man, that man, and sensation of heat, cold, etc. Without these sensations, I am never found. Without these sensations, and without these sensations, I am nothing. That is what David Hume says when he says rational psychology is not possible. So this is the explanation part. If it is clear or if there is any doubt, please ask. Otherwise, we will move to the criticism by Adi Shankaracharya. Yes. Is the explanation clear? Should we move forward?
Yes.
So first of all, Adi Shankaracharya ka ek criticism to hai, law of karma is thrown overboard. The basic premise of Nairatmavad is, what is the main argument given by Nairatmavad? Or for Nairatmavad, the most important argument is Shanbhangavad. So Adi Shankaracharya did what to Shanbhangavad? Was he able to successfully destroy the philosophy of or doctrine of Shanbhangavad? When Shanbhangavad is destroyed by his arguments, for example, Karta Pranasha and Akarta Bhayogama, when that is destroyed, what will happen ipso facto to Nairatmavad?
It too will get destroyed.
It too will get destroyed. So the charge of vicarious liability asserts itself. The momentary idea which performs an action vanishes before reaping the fruit. Karta Pranasha or Karta Nasha, and the momentary idea which reaps the fruit did not perform the action. Akarta Bhayogam. So there is vicarious liability. Perception, memory, recognition, all would be impossible without a synthesizing subject. हीनयान की लेवल पे ये बात कर रहे हैं. महायान वाले इसीलिए जो है चेंज करेंगे. दे विल बी एक्सेप्टिंग बोधि और प्रज्ञा एंड अगर हम आलय विज्ञान की बात करें, सॉरी, योगाचार विज्ञानवाद की बात करें, तो दे विल बी एक्सेप्टिंग आलय विज्ञान. Mind is not simply a collective entity, it is also a recollection entity. So they will be forced to accept the synthesizing subject in the Mahayana school. This is, so far we are discussing the criticism of Heenyan school by Adi Shankaracharya. Because Heenyan के दो सबसे important doctrines हैं, क्षणभंगवाद और क्षणिकवाद एंड नैरात्मवाद. Then bondage and liberation itself will be impossible. आप वहां पर देख चुके हैं कि why should you care for making efforts, because you and the suffering both are momentary, or you as well as the liberation both are momentary. लेकिन आदि शंकराचार्य एक और आर्ग्यूमेंट देते हैं, कहते हैं यार तुमने वहां पर ये क्षणभंगवाद में ये कहा था अर्थ क्रिया करित्व लक्षणम सत is the most important argument for क्षणभंगवाद. Only that thing exists which has the causal efficiency or the causal potency to produce an effect. लेकिन जब आप निर्वाणा अटेन कर रहे हैं तो आपका इफेक्ट तो खत्म हो जा रहा है. तो इज निर्वाणा एग्जिस्टेंट, रियल और अनरियल? देखिए कैसे फंसाया इनको. बोले आपने तो यहाँ पे कहा था अर्थ क्रिया करित्व लक्षणम सत्य, ओनली दैट थिंग इज एग्जिस्टेंट. क्या एग्जिस्टेंट है? विच हैज द कैपेसिटी टू प्रोड्यूस एन इफेक्ट. याद कीजिए वो सीड वाला एग्जांपल, सीड इन होम एंड सीड इन फील्ड. और वो जो इफेक्ट है वो परमानेंट नहीं होता, टेम्पररी होता है, ये भी इन्होंने साबित किया था. तो इन्होंने बोला कि भाई जब तुम निर्वाणा अटेन करते हो तब तो ईगो जो है कोई इफेक्ट उसके बाद नहीं प्रोड्यूस कर पाता है, और आफ्टर निर्वाणा देयर इज नो इफेक्ट गोइंग टू बी कॉज्ड. सो इज द निर्वाणा रियल और अनरियल? Because on attaining nirvana, the ego series ceases. The final member of ego series has no causal efficiency. Is nirvana unreal then? Brilliant argument by Adi Shankaracharya. अंग्रेजी में इसको कहा जाए तो गिविंग देम अ टेस्ट ऑफ देयर ओन मेडिसिन, और यूजिंग देयर ओन वर्ड्स फॉर देयर ओन आर्ग्यूमेंट्स टू देयर डिसएडवांटेज. एक और वो सवाल पूछते हैं कि ये बताओ, ये जो प्रोडक्शन और डिस्ट्रक्शन है, इज इट नेचर ऑफ अ थिंग, अनदर स्टेट ऑफ इट, और डिफरेंट फ्रॉम इट? अगर प्रोडक्शन और डिस्ट्रक्शन उसका नेचर हुआ थिंग का, तो देन इट विल बिकम सिनोनिमस विद द थिंग. लेकिन आप तो कह रहे हैं कि कोई चीज प्रोड्यूस हो रही है, कोई चीज डिस्ट्रॉय हो रही है, इट्स उसकी क्वालिटी है, उसके सिनोनिमस तो नहीं है. अगर वो सेकेंड केस में इफ इट इज अनदर स्टेट, then Shanbhangvad will be violated, because there is production, there is another state, and there is destruction. So theory of momentariness is violated for a thing. और थर्ड केस में अगर आप ये कहें कि डिफरेंट है, production and destruction is different from a thing, then the thing becomes, sorry, the thing is different from production and destruction, then the thing becomes permanent. If something is different from production and destruction, it becomes permanent. So ये भी criticism लिखिएगा. This is a very beautiful criticism for नैरात्मवाद. It can also be written for क्षणभंगवाद. Conclusion में, the explosion of mind and matter, soul and God by the Sarvastivadin school is corrected by the admission of relative reality of both by the Mahayana school. The empirical ego is real so far as it goes, only that it does not go very far. Beyond that, there is transcendental immortality. Sorry, there is transcendental immortal reality called Bodhi or Pragna, accepted by the Mahayana school. और आप मिसेस राइस डेविड का भी कोट लिख सकते हैं. व्हाट इज हर कोट? So she says about Buddha, the Shakyan mission Buddha was also called as Shakya Muni. He belonged to which clan? Buddha was part of one of the Mahajanpadas, and he belonged to which clan? Yes. Find it out in ancient history. So the Shakyan mission, says Mrs. Rice David, was not out to destroy, but to fulfill. Whereas the Heenyan are meant to destroy and not to fulfill. ये भी आप एक बहुत अच्छा criticism है जो इसमें लिख सकते हैं. So that completes our entire Heenyan school. If there is any doubt, please ask. Otherwise, today this material right after the class will be uploaded because now this discussion is complete. अभी हम कुछ questions भी देखेंगे इस पे, the questions that have been asked, and then in next class we will be doing Mahayana, that is constructive and destructive dialecticism of Nagarjuna and Alay Vigyan of Yogachar Vignanavad. Okay, so any doubt in today's class, please ask. Otherwise, we will move to seeing the questions. Yes, any doubt? चलिए, तो इस पे क्वेश्चन देख लीजिए एक बार. Shavya, just read question of 2020.
Yes. How does Buddhism explain self in terms of panchskandhas? What is liberation for Buddhism if there is no soul?
Yes. So easy question can be written. Yes. लिख सकते हैं आप लोग. ओके. ये देखिए जरा.
Is it consistent for the Buddhists to admit the theory of Nairatmyavad and the
Yes.
doctrine of Nirvana simultaneously? Give reasons in favor of your answer.
So अभी हमने जो डिस्कशन किया ऑन बॉन्डेज एंड लिबरेशन एंड दी आदि शंकराचार्य क्रिटिसिज्म ऑफ अर्थ क्रिया करित्व लक्षणम सत एंड कर्ता प्रनाश एंड अकर्ता भयोगामा, इज दैट द आंसर दैट इज एक्सपेक्टेड? यस. एक तरफ बुद्धिज्म
Yes.
क्या कहेगा कि भाई परमानेंट सोल होगा तो उसको बॉन्डेज में जाएगा ही नहीं, बॉन्डेज में चला गया तो लिबरेट नहीं होगा. देन निर्वाणा इज ending of these panch skandhas, annihilation of these panch skandhas. So they will be explaining bondage and liberation, rebirth through the doctrine of Nairatmavad, through the panch skandhas. And whereas Adi Shankaracharya will say the charge of vicarious liability asserts itself. The momentary idea which performs the action vanishes before reaping the fruit, karta pranasha. And the action which performs the fruits, which reaped the fruits, did not perform that action, akarta bhayogam. Then arth kriya karitu lakshanam sat, the argument given in support of shanikvad, only that thing is existing or real which has the potentiality or the capacity to produce an effect. However, on nirvana, there is no further there is no further effect produced. It ends the causal series of the ego. So is nirvana unreal then? and these questions are not being able to be answered by the Hinian philosophers, which is why what are the Mahayana philosophers forced to accept? Yes.
Permanency of soul.
Yes, transcendental reality, bodhi or pragna, which is unborn, immutable, eternal reality. The empirical soul is real so far as it goes, only it does not go so very far, but there is a transcendental reality. And you can conclude the answer with Mrs. Rice David when she says the Shakyan mission was not out to destroy but to fulfill. Okay, so will you all be able to write these two answers, 2020 and 2018? Yes. At least will you try?
Yes, sir.
Notes de do, sir. Somebody is saying give the notes, then I'll be able to write. Okay. Notes will be uploaded on the portal. So that is all. We'll meet in the next session and complete Buddhism there in the Mahayana school. एक और टॉपिक डेफिनेटली बच रहा है हमारा, दैट इज निर्वाणा ऑफ बुद्धिज्म. दैट आल्सो वी हैव टू डू. निर्वाणा क्या होता है, व्हाट इज निर्वाणा, हाउ डू बुद्धिज्म एक्सप्लेन्स. जैसे छोटे छोटे टॉपिक्स हैं, लेकिन यूपीएससी ने उनमें क्वेश्चन पूछ लिया है. Why Buddhism is not pessimistic? So far, it has not been asked. This may be asked. Then Buddha's avoidance of systemic metaphysics. What are the reasons? That could be asked. Then how does Buddhism explain the origin of the world, empirical realities, phenomena? Does Buddhism have Upanishadic tendencies? And one more thing would be there. That is, how does Buddhism explain identity without the permanent self, or how does Buddhism explain knowledge, perception, etc.? What is the status of external objects? How are they able to explain the world, permanence, identity, or knowledge in Buddhist philosophy? So that is also asked as a question. अगर आप एक बार question को देखें, so question of 2021, if you just see the, if everything is momentary, then how do the Buddhists explain the problem of memory and personal identity? Critically discuss. तो ये 2021 में पूछ लिया गया. दिस हैज बीन इन माय नोट्स सिंस 2017. इसमें से कुछ पार्ट है जो अभी तक नहीं पूछा है यूपीएससी ने, लाइक द डज बुद्धिज्म हैव उपनिषदिक टेंडेंसीज, व्हाई डज बुद्धा avoid systemic metaphysics, is Buddhism pessimism? Those can also be asked. So we'll take a small look at all of them because those are possible questions of the future. So far what we have done is we have covered everything that could be asked. इसके बाहर नहीं पूछा जाएगा with respect to Hinian school. Okay, so that is all. If there is any doubt, please ask. Otherwise, we will conclude today's session.
No, sir.
Okay, thank you for your time and patience.
Thank you, sir.